Hello, Andrew. All right. This is New Year's Eve 2021, and soon will be 2022. It's a big mouthful, 2022, all twos and one zero. How are you doing? All right. Well, I hope you can join me as I set the Zoom up. I'm recording it, so it can be used for recollection purposes. I'm looking at Rhodesian Fighting Men at the moment, one of the sequels, and I'll be playing that until you come on, okay?
An interesting thing, because we had a British civil servant come out to show us how to run elections. Unfortunately, he had very little knowledge about what we were doing, and he then said he needed to see where all the polling stations were in the district. So that's fine, except for the fact that it was a really long trip. So 3 Land Rovers, Intaf blokes, all the way down from Buhira, which, as I said, borders on Enkledorp, all the way down to Birchtoft Bridge, showed you where all the polling stations were. And on the way back, just as we were coming near Churui airstrip and the old Intaf camp, very close to where Foxtrot Assembly Point was, we got ambushed. Not the best thing to happen. Myself and the Brit managed to get through the kill zone. Second vehicle got stuck in the middle, and the third vehicle came past them and came out. The Brit was trying to tell me that we should get back to Buhira to get some help. The blokes in the middle. I disagreed with him rather violently, and eventually myself and one of the BSAP blokes went back in and got the other blokes out of the middle. But the fun was that we got back to Buhira, and patched up the bits of us that were leaking, like that. We'd taken a bit of a hammering. And this British election soon Internal Affairs single quarters, and he came out with a bottle of scotch.
I'm just minimizing it there. How are you doing? What are you going to be doing for New Year's? Are you going to be going somewhere special? But if you do, make sure you have your COVID protection on because of the Omicron. There's a huge amount being infected here in the hundreds of thousands a day, and hospitalizations escalating simply because people don't have masks on, don't social distance, and don't wash their hands. I've been trying to relax over Christmas. It hasn't been easy with the leaking pipe from upstairs, the noise, but I've tried to do a bit of my book. Just actually sitting doing nothing has been more important, because from the 4th I'll be back full on at work. I haven't heard about your work, what you're doing, what position you have, but I did notice you joined ResearchGate, so you must add your publications to that, including the ones I did with you, as it'll be beast. It'd be good. It's like it's easy to add. It's not so much of a beast. It's more important for recognition in the research world if you add them. You can also scan a link, private link. You can work around it. It's quite interesting. I was wondering though if you'd done any publications of your own in journals, apart from the ones that I did. Remember, we also did one in the wildlife, that walk along the tributary of the Gwebi River in Wainona. And in fact, that has received over the years, a lot of interest. And I sent off scanned copies of that to quite a lot of researchers in the world. I am thinking of getting a bridge on my tooth, because I've lost one tooth, unfortunately. It became too painful and I had to have it pulled out. It's the worst thing because when you lose your first, you start speaking through the gap. You might have a bridge or an implant, but they're very, very expensive. I'll see how it settles though, and then decide finally. My stick insects are doing well. In fact, the temperature has risen from nearly 0 to about 14 today, so they will come out. And my students are fascinated by the stick insects. I've taken 2 in a tank there. I'm also doing more writing of textbooks. My current one I'm checking is 592 pages long. I'm going through the second draft, then the third draft, and then publication. That's what I've been doing since the lockdown. The lockdown has gone really quickly because I was kept busy writing the book, and despite there being no work at the time, the only work available was just lifting heavy boxes or crates. Some people qualified were working stacking shelves in supermarkets. It's very, very bad. But then that's the ineptitude of the government, lack of planning and lack of foresight, because places like Vietnam, where my friend worked, actually shut down temporarily, but it made everyone wear a mask, and they reopened everything, and very few people have the virus because everyone wears a mask. Not here though. Hardly anyone wears a mask. There's nobody enforcing the wearing of masks, and people just don't bother. So it's easy to catch and spread the virus. I've written 2 manuscripts on the virus, which I hope to get published in a journal. I reread them the other day, and they're brilliant. Another short one on the African giant rat. And hopefully this year I'll be at the pet show in the National Exhibition Centre, where I'll be helping on the giant rat table. But it also depends, of course, on the coronavirus impact, as you're packed, no windows, and a big auditorium, and the virus could potentially spread very easily in that environment. So, as I said, I'm starting work on the 4th. I'm not looking forward to it because I hardly rested and you're going back again. However, I've had a very good Christmas in terms of I was surprised. I was given a surprise gift on Christmas Day. A vast meal. Someone brought me a vast meal, had everything in it, and also a set of presents. And then I had a similar meal the subsequent days by the same organization who were very kind and insisted I have it. When I say big, it was fit for a king. If I could get out my photos, I could show you some of them. Let's get in my USB stick here. And I mean, the present was nice. It's mainly chocolates though, but a big cake, and you see I don't eat as much of that as given my age, but a little bit here and there. And I'll see if I can share some of the Christmas things that I got. So go down, open this. And just getting it there to share. Here we go. So I'm going to share this. This is the first meal that I was given. You can see it's massive. It's in a tin foil, but it's got baked potatoes, a lot of turkey, various vegetables, Brussels sprouts, carrots, parsnips, 2 So like donut types of things. And this is the gravy in which you pour into those cup-like donuts, and then two mince pies, so they call them. Obviously, I'll blast this with the microwave to kill any coronavirus, if any. So that was my first meal, and then I'll see if I can get you the picture of the present that came with the meal, which was a nice surprise. So yeah, coming up is the present. There it is there. It's a big, massive bag full of things, including shampoos, sweets, chocolates, tea, all that. Okay, that was a surprise gift, just totally out of the blue. So that's what I enjoyed. And then some of my presents that I had as well, cards. I'll probably show you the latest one. This one here. A nice cup of tea next to it, and I'll just laid out some things here. I'll share that. Here's cards, Christmas cards, various sauces, some rusks, shortbread, nice cup of tea, no milk, one or two Christmas gifts. Some of the others like books and pencils and puzzles, they're not in the picture, but I did have quite a few cards. And some chocolates from students. A nice tree, beautiful tree that's actually given to me by a student. I'll show that to you as well. And I'm watching it at the moment. I'll go back and share this one. This is a little tree here, full of ribbons, nice, been sprayed with whitish foam to look like it's ice, but it's not, and it's a real tree in a pot, and I'm watering it on my windowsill. Very, very cold outside, very, very cold indeed. So there's the wall down into the car park. So that's what I've been doing. Now you've got to tell me what you've been doing over Christmas, because I presume you got the rabbits and something else. Yeah, so that's that. As soon as you're ready, you can share some things with me. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you some print I made. 3D print. Strolopithecus. There we go. Very useful for human anthropology, part of which I lecture. There's the Strolopithecus, this orange skull there. It was a hominid that evolved just prior to Homo erectus. Full size, only 5 foot in stature. Here is an example of an extinct shell, tribolite, the real size. These are real sizes. Stick insect tank there and privet leaves in the water. Stick insects or Carassius morosus. Yeah, that's it, really. So I'm going to re-put on that video of the gentleman talking about his experiences in the Rhodesian War.
Proper Scotch. None of this Rhodesian stuff. Proper Scotch. And he walked back into the lounge with this bottle of Scotch. And then he got this delayed reaction of shock. He didn't realize what had happened and the fact that he got a bit of windscreen splatter. And he started falling down. And I'll say one thing, the BSAP are known for quick thinking. Because the BSAP bloke who was with us managed to retrieve the bottle of Scotch before it hit the ground with the election supervisor. When he finally recovered, there was half a bottle left. It was interesting times. Yeah. Yeah. I must say, I never regret what I did in INTAF. It taught me as a young man a huge amount. I worked with some wonderful blokes. The ARU commanders.
He's from Cape Town,
were handpicked and chosen and have all done incredibly well.
He doesn't look that old.
Dudley Wall, who was with me on Ian Shonland East when I started in Shonland West. We're still in contact. He went to South Africa, went to the Reckies, like he ended up as a colonel in the South African Defence. The blokes have done really well all over. Do I regret time in INTAF? No, I don't. I learned so much. I learned how to work with people as a very young man. Yeah. By the time I left, I had 131 blokes under me at Woolera. And we were young men.
How old were you then?
I was 27.
Okay.
So it was a really interesting time. It taught me a lot about leadership. Helped me because before I retired from permanently working, I actually set up a management and leadership master's degree program for Kent Police and the Fire and Rescue Service. Actually, and I was the program director of it. I always think that advert, could I run a large slice of Rhodesia, was a great thing. It was a really great opportunity. Maybe looking back on it and things like that, they couldn't spell ruin properly and they just wrote it down as run, but hey, we gave it a good chance.
Bren, I think it's true to say that we were all young, and I think I was 17 when I joined the army, and by the time I was 19, I felt like an old man. And I'd probably seen more of life than most 60-year-olds. But I do think, they threw us in the deep end. The chaps we had training us were absolutely magnificent. They taught us skills, life skills, that would serve us. And a lot of guys landed on their feet after the war, and the training and experience they had from Rhodesia set them up to be successful in business. It's amazing how much responsibility we had thrust on us at such an early age. I mean, you basically joined when you were a teenager. So at 27, you were in for what, about 10 years altogether?
Yeah. It was really, you say that and you talk about the blokes who trained us. I met up with Robin Clark, who by that stage was the Chief Training Officer of Guard Force. And he put in a commissioned officer, and he's like that, so we could have a chat. No more the recruit who stood stiffly to attention in front of Mr. Tarr, because we did in those days. And I said, Ian's was an interesting experience, and any person who knew Robin Tarr realised what a wise man. He said the biggest problem that he had was realising that he had to try and make us into blokes who could survive in a protected village in a war zone, and at the same time not expect us to just follow orders, because really we had to face a whole lot of people, a whole lot of district assistants who were your troops, but also most probably 1,000 African locals. And he said he didn't want Ian's 2 or any of the Ian's intakes to go out being just blokes who were waiting to be told what to do. And he said he had to change the way he trained blokes in the RLI to do it, because they didn't have the time. Yeah, it wasn't the school of months to be an officer, but they were taking blokes, some younger than me, because I'd already spent over a year in Town. Some blokes who were just Ian's national servicemen was coming straight out of school, and they would.
Okay, so there you go. Well, I'm gonna go in a bit because I've been on for 21 minutes and I haven't seen you or any attempt by you to join. So I wish you a happy New Year's Eve. I'm just going to stay indoors as I find that the best. There's too much of COVID risk and there's too much of a danger risk as well. All the drunks, there'll be lots of them on the street messing around, and it's actually not as safe as you think. I am also appalled at the amount of litter that's increasing in this area. So disgusting. I've written a book on garbage and the problem of garbage in the UK. And often we don't get support from the council. They expect the volunteer litter pickers to deal with it, but it is Everest's, Mount Everest of garbage. It's impossible. However, I'd have done my little bits here and there, just picking up around the block of flats or on my road. You'd be amazed at what people do throw away. One bloke threw away brand new wrapping paper. He'd only used a square of wrapping paper. Strange throwaway culture, and yet they complain they don't have money. Well, they probably spend it all on drink, drugs, and all that messing around. That's where it all goes, I think. Anyway, they can get on with it. I'm still writing my books, and that's my motivation in life. Always, when I get the time, I do that. I have gone to church, Nan's church. It's been a very small congregation, but interesting. Historically, the message, meeting the newly installed vicar. Apart from that, my Christmas has been very quiet. Definitely cold, unlike Zimbabwe where it's beautifully warm, and when it rains, you've got the warm rain. Even if it's overcast, it's still warm. I remember that time you and I spent Christmas at Tay Road, and it wasn't raining. We had a great time. We walked everywhere, including to the high school, my former high school, and also into the Veld. As I said, that publication came about from that experience in the Veld. So it's good to reminisce on the good things. Understand you lost Desmond Tutu. We'll have his funeral tomorrow. That's all I've heard really about South Africa, except for when the Omicron was first detected, but that's about it. I have completed my examination of a PhD thesis from the University of South Africa, and that's been returned with my comments. So anyway, I wish you all the best, and keep on working and stick at it. I don't know if you like garden work, but I do. I've managed to write lots of articles on indoor plants, which I've successfully experimented with and been able to successfully grow in tiny pots, plastic pots during the lockdown. And plants that don't die, but they continuously produce fruit, e.g., fruit of tomatoes, strawberries, and vegetables like peppers, etc., year after year. Again, I've written articles on that and published them in Zimbabwe. It's good to write, be nostalgic about things. So yeah, I hope you all have a very good time there, you and your friends, and whoever you're associated with in Port Elizabeth, PE, the Windy City. At least you got that nice Air Force Museum, very nice. The walk on the beach is really good. I can remember those things, but the sea was a bit cold when I jumped in there. It was cold. But apart from that, it was a very, very nice time there. Anyway, all the best for your new year. Bye now. Cheers.